Crafting Kitty. My name is Erin. It is Sunday, and lately I've been doing a So Sunday event on Sundays. However, I did not get around to my weekly roundup yesterday. I will tell you that story. But first, let's hop in because I need to do 2 days of my Halloween countdown from Yarnaceous Fibers. This is her Something Dark and Grim countdown. Day 25, which would have been yesterday, is... oh, it's hard to tell. Oh, Laura. It's people! This is a darker... I would call this... I called another one pine green. This one is kind of saying pine green to me. This is Rumpelstiltskin Whispers and Lies. Ooh, spooky. There you go. It's beautiful. And again, I am seeing this in my mind's eye come together, and I am very down with it. So we've got day 25 green and still Rumpelstiltskin. I think I forgot to say, this has kind of a gothic fairy tale feel. They've all been fairy tale themed yarns. Let's see if day 26 is still Rumpelstiltskin. 1, 2, 3. Purple! Purple. Plummy purple. And it is... we are on to a new story. Cinderella. Midnight Waltz. Beautiful. Dark purple. I really like this dark purple. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. So what do we have? We have neutral tones, tans. We've got some blues. We've got some pinks. We've got purples and greens. I don't think we have any oranges yet. I'm not sure, but we're coming near the end. Only a few days left. Let's see what they have in store. Okay, so my plan for today is to do a combo weekly roundup and So Sunday. Yesterday, I was mired down with household tasks, and I just never got into the craft room to film. So I apologize, but, you know, life be lifing sometimes. I do have 3 finished objects to show you. Very excited. And I've got 3 other whips to show you. So 3 and 3. And then I have my sewing projects, which are behind me. So let's just hop right in. Now, Brian is out with the kids. So he is not here to model this. But I do promise to get him a picture. Get a picture of him in it. What am I talking about? Well, Laura over at Mad Mimi's Crochet and Farming is hosting a What's in a Name Cal. Maybe more of a Mal make-along. I'm not sure she restricted it to crocheting. But basically, sorry, my mouth is dry. Basically, the idea is you go find a pattern that has your name in it, and you make it. Not the pattern designer, the pattern name itself. So I went out to the Ravelries and I found Erin's Simple Crocheted Necktie. Oh yes, Brian is a lucky, lucky man. Because I then found this Premier Sweet Roll Fruits that I had lying about. And look, I used about half of it. I have the tie complete. Here it is. It's not tied because I do know how to tie a tie. I attempted to tie it and was unable to do so. So I don't know if it was because of stretchy fabric, and I may have the knowledge, but I'm not super skilled in it. Brian helped me to determine how thin I should work it to, and this is what he liked. And we had him try it on. And I had to go a little longer. I researched, so the pattern doesn't tell you how long to go. It says work to desired length. So I researched and I found that most Saturn ties are 57 to 58 inches long. I worked it to that, and Brian wanted it a little longer, so I did a couple extra inches. This is 62, 61, 62-ish. But there you go. I have completed it. Laura, I will take a picture and send it to you, but I'm hoping to get my handsome husband to do the modeling for it. If we're lucky. And let's be honest, we can't stop him. He will do blue steel in the pictures. I hope that's not now so old of a reference that people don't get it. Zoolander's a classic, right? I hope so. So anyway, one down. Oh, I can't do that. I can't. I normally hang my projects on there, but I was hanging that there. Okay. Finished that. I also did finish, if you remember, I was working on, for the Krafting Kitty Creator Spotlight this month, we're doing the turtle trunk. And I found the bonfire headband, so I had made one of those, but I wanted to make a matching cowl. So I did finish that matching cowl. Here it is. And all the ends are woven in. It's all beautiful. And I used Scarfy Light, Lion Brand Scarfy Light in the color Foliage for that. I used, for the headband, it used, or ear warmers, whatever you want to call it, it used such little yarn. I'd say I'm probably a third of this ball left. So far, not able to claim any labels, but I do have projects done, which is great. This is little totes I got from thriftbooks.com. Okay, final project. Not surprising, I think, but I did weave in, finish the last rows, woven all of the ends on Bingo's Bias Rave Blanket. So this is a C2C blanket, which I get, yeah, I always say it's C2C, but it's technically a blanket worked on the bias. I had made, using scrap remnants, C2C blanket from Big Twist Rave. She fell in love with it, but I had intended to donate it ever since I made it. So in a lesson in donation, I did not let her keep that blanket. But in secret, I got more Rave and made her this one. So I think she will be very excited and happy. I have Unicorn, Cyan, was it Cyan Crush? Cyan something. This was, oh no. No, okay, this was Icy. So Unicorn, Icy, this was Cyan Crush. This was Super Beach. And then this is Electric Citrus with the orange and yellow. So there you go. Beautiful. It's done. I don't know if I'm going to just give this to her or make her wait. Oh, okay. All but one end. She's not going to notice it. It's fine. So I'm not quite sure if I should make her wait, because she did just get the purple Karanorama blanket. If I don't give it to her, I have to store it, which I don't like doing, but that's okay. So there you go. Third project. You knew 2 of those, based on my last weekly roundup, were going to be done. The tie was a pretty quick, mindless kind of thing. I will say, the pattern was very sparsely written. I did change the rate of decrease because it was going to get too thin too fast. So I would say, if you want to make that, it was a free pattern on Ravelry, definitely worth the grab. But use your own discretion on what a tie should look like. And there you go. So what do I have in my whips? I have, where's my book? It's behind me. And my jar of fate. Okay. Aberdeen Wools up in Canada sells these pickle jar kits. The pickle jar kit, you get 40 micro minis, 5-gram minis of the Tangled Poets yarn. They're not labeled, you don't know color names, you don't know anything. It's just a jar of fun and awesomeness. When I purchased this, it came with 2 patterns and a set. I always think of it as a set, but it's really just one. Came with a circular knitting needle to do the patterns with. I used the first jar to make the original pickle jar cowl. And then I bought a refill. Wanted to make the second pattern, which was a bias scarf. You were to use all 40 micro minis, but I thought it was getting way too big, so I stopped at 20, which left me with what do you do with the remaining 20 micro minis? Now, Miss Litnitz suggested this book to me a while back, Mini Skein Knits. This is by no author? No author. Okay. So I was looking through this and I found this was designed by Andy Smith, A-N-D-I Smith, Sideways Siberian Scarf. And by my calculations, it should use roughly the remainder of that. And it is kind of a cool, like, you knit the long way, so I had to cast on 430 stitches, and it's only going to be like 5 inches thick or something. 6 inches. But you use like cast on, cast off to make these little fun tails at the end. Anyway, I thought that could be cool in like a scrappy. They obviously in this one used an ombre yarn. They used a Dragonfly Fibers Dragon Sock Gradient Set in the colorway Siberian Iris. I'm using Jar of Fate from here. Now, I don't know. I feel like regardless, even if I don't make it the full pattern, it's going to be awesome. So, my goal is to add 1 micro mini a week, and I did. So, this is the cast on of 430 stitches. It is I cast on, I did row 1, and I ran out of yarn. I'm going to guess that's about somewhere between 3/4 and 2/3 of the way through round 2. So let's do it now. I will say there is some yarn here from Purple Lamb that I got when I was getting her subscription box. I don't know. I was just throwing it in here to store because they're micro minis as well. Should I throw it in the scarf? Or should I not? Should I keep it pure? Let me know in the comments. I will randomly select a new thing. Here we go. Here's the next one. I think that's going to look very nice with the next one. So here you go. We're going to make just a random kind of scarf. If I get 1 mini skein and 1 micro mini skein a week, it'll take me 20 weeks, 4 months to finish the scarf. This is a project I work on when I'm in this room kind of editing, so I like a more mindless, easygoing project. Talking about more easygoing projects, I have had a Whipsplosion, and they are mostly very large projects, so I found the need to add in a couple of smaller projects. I decided to go through my Ravelry library and just kind of go in order and pick out the small projects. I've been looking at the hats, and the next hat was Tin Can Knits Barley Hat in DK. They have the Barley Hat in DK worsted, and I believe fingering weight, but I might be making that up. I know DK and I know worsted. I'm using some yarn I got. This is Pawpaw Yarn Company. I think it's Precious Scarlet, the name. I have this one, and then I have a full hank still on the wall. I had bought 3. I used 1 to make Chomps a hat and cowl set for kindergarten. So anyway, I've been continuing to plug away on that, and here we are. This is one of their free patterns. Tin Can Knits has free patterns and paid for patterns. It's a stockinette hat with a garter stitch section. And there you go. Working my way to a complete hat. And then final whip I'm showing today is I did continue to work on the Office Vest by Lisa Knits. This is a vest, a cabled vest for my husband. This is a paid for pattern that I found on Ravelry. It was around $5, so pretty cool. Big news here is I do get to claim a label. I am 1 full skein in and going forward. So here we go. More work. I do not have a marker on this to kind of tell you, hey, this is where I was last week, this is where I am now. But I mean, we know I've made progress because here's the end. I've started a new skein. So, exciting time. We have not been able, I think I might have just kicked the tripod. Sorry if I did. We have not been able to add to the thingy, the chart recently. So this will be fun. I went on a cleaning spree. And the last couple of years, I had been keeping my yarn labels. Last year, I kept the yarn labels, and I even had a big spreadsheet with all the data, and I never made the video talking about it. So this year, I decided I'm just not going to do it. I just started throwing away my labels. But we are doing this. I was cleaning and found a bunch of the kids' old potty training stickers. And I was like, what am I going to do with these? Make a yarn gold chart. So I, in my head, was going to do a goal of 100. When I fully use 100 skeins of yarn, I will be able to make my first purchase, because I've never purchased, from websyarn.com. I drew my grid. It's not 100 squares. It's 102-ish. Because what I can't remember is if I counted the very bottom squares here. So we're just going to fill this whole thing up. When this is full, I will make that purchase. So, let's mark another box for that full skein of yarn. I'm excited. I don't know why this makes me so happy. I've got the box here from my Dragon Horde. That was the Christmas in July countdown I had. Oh! This morning I logged into Instagram, and I'm going to tell you, I was very, very good when, is it Muse 2023, Muse, whatever. The Muse yarn shop in the Twin Cities area put out some Stranger Things themed yarn boxes recently. And I was sorely tempted to get it. It's supposed to be like a countdown for the new seasons, or the final season. I was like, oh, I kind of want that. No. So I said no. I walked away. This morning I opened Instagram, and Dragon Horde Yarn had her Stranger Things Season 5 countdown. They are sock sets, and it's supposed to be 3 sock sets that you open release day of each of the parts, because they're releasing Season 5 in 3 parts. Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. Tristan is my Achilles heel. I adore her dyeing. I am a big fan. You guys know that if you've been around these parts. So I did press the purchase and I'm getting that countdown. I'm excited. It's ridiculous. But so this weekend I started dismantling all of the Joann's yarn that was in the hallway here. It's been there for far too long since Joann went out of business, and I made those going out of business purchases. So we finally admitted we need to move those to the basement. I've been doing the work to do that. And we're kind of looking at that, and with the whole yarn management, kind of made some decisions on what yarn purchasing is going to look like for me in the future here. And I think I like the idea of this goal thing where I can buy some yarn when I reach a goal of using 100, because that, you know, shows I've been using the yarn. And I do go through a lot of yarn. But I'm not really interested in making big bulk purchases of acrylic yarns to build some sort of collection. I've done that. So my focus here going forward is going to be special things like these countdowns, or smaller purchases of some hand-dyed yarns and things like that. Brian took the kids to an arcade and is excitedly... Oh, shoot. Okay, we're having a problem. He has been begging for a game. I secretly bought the game for him. The game is available at the arcade and he has just earned enough tickets to buy the game. Okay, crisis averted. I revealed to him that he already had the prize. When you try to get too tricky. Where was I? I forget what I was talking about. I've totally lost the train of thought on the video. So, I think I showed everything that I have. Oh, I was talking about the Stranger Things yarn. I bought the countdown, and I was kind of talking about my philosophy in buying yarn. So, it's going to be less big clearance haul type thingies and more targeted things. I will never say I'm not going to buy yarn, because that's not going to happen. But I do like the idea of like the countdown for a treat of a bigger purchase, and then smaller special purchases when the wind blows, and of course checking out new yarns like the Caron cakes and things like that. I will continue to do that, but I will be, unless it's a yarn that gets me so overly excited like the smash cakes, I will likely not buy the entire line just to keep the surplus going, because the goal is to use and cycle through the gigantic collection. And yeah, it kind of puts it in stark perspective when you move it all together and realize how far I have exceeded the storage allotment I had. Yeah. That's okay. I'm not in trouble. Brian laughs and rolls his eyes. But it's personal. I'm harder on myself. I think a lot of people are harder on themselves than anybody else outside would be. And it's sobering. I will be honest. I think Shannon might be having a similar experience in packing up her yarn room. That being said, I did get a couple of Happy Mails that have been piling up behind me. And I figured I should start opening them and looking into them. One is from the aforementioned Miss Laura from Mad Mimi's Crochet and Farming. She sent me this box. It is a priority, it's a, what is it, a large flat rate box. You can cram a lot in here. I'm not quite sure. I'm sorry. I don't see my box opener, so I'm going to lean over you to grab some scissors. I have no idea what's in here. She did send me a message saying, expect something to your P.O. box. And it did arrive. So let's see what she did. It seems like she might be doing a little bit of yarn management herself. I love the yarn management videos. It's so interesting to me to see what everyone has collected. You know, we all have different tastes and desires in yarn, and that does change sometimes. So finding a new home. Laura! Oh, that's amazing. Okay, Fridays with Fred, I have been making pleas for a company to bring back Big Twist Party yarn, which is the yarn I'm using for that. Laura sent me a bunch of Big Twist Party. I have 3, wait no, this is 2 in the color, okay, Big Twist Party is a 4-weight acrylic yarn, 240 yards and 3.5 ounces, 220 meters and 100 grams. I have 2 in the color Canyon, and then 1 here is the color Jelly Bean. Oh, I know I've got more Jelly Bean in storage. Bingo loved that. That'll be cool. I'm excited. And then she sent me, looks like there's 3 in this blue color, which is Prism. I used that to make an octopus amigurumi for Bingo. And then she sent me 2 in a darker blue. That is Glacial Pool. So that's cool. That's 6. There's 3 more. So there's 2 more in the Prism colorway. And then there's 1 in, is this another, this isn't Canyon. This is a different one. Is this Sunset? And then it looks to me, it is Sunset. So I got 1 Sunset. That's beautiful. Oh, Laura, that is so sweet. And then, oh, there's a partial here. A partial in the, why can't I remember? I've said this name not a million times. Prism. A partial Prism. Amazing. I love it. And then I think this is Big Twist Living. It is. I love Big Twist Living. So she sent me in orange. What are you doing, Laura? The orange is your favorite. So Big Twist Living orange, a light purple, which is New Lavender, and a dark purple. Let's see, it's a partial. She's even weighed it and written what she thinks it is on it, which is amazing. That's way more work than I would do. She thinks there's roughly 59 yards. This colorway, is it grape or something like that? Or maybe it's just purple. Purple Magic. Oh, that is exciting. That's like a Halloween party right there in a bag. Laura, this is amazing and super kind. I am so excited. I will absolutely create things with this. Absolutely. The blue here, the Prism, I bet you there's enough there to do a sweater or something for Chomps. And then I will do something, maybe a hat and scarf set with this, and then the others. Man, that's so beautiful. I know I have more Jelly Bean, so I will likely save that. I feel like I might have Canyon, or I might not have Canyon. I remember there was one color I was having trouble getting my hands on. But Canyon might have been in another yarn. I don't know, but that is lovely. Man, Thank you, Laura. Thank you. That was so sweet and kind. Oh, you are spoiling me, lady, and I will gladly accept it. Happy meal. Happy meals. I don't do Happy Meals. The kiddos, of course, get Happy Meals. Oh, there's a Michael sale. Happy Mail is always appreciated, never expected or required. I love that though. Thank you so much. I like sharing what I have, and obviously others like sharing what they have, and I want to just showcase the generosity of the community here in YouTube. So, not trying to brag and say, "Oh, look what got sent to me. I'm so special." Laura is incredibly special. I'm so excited. Oh my goodness. Okay. So, let's move on from the yarn arts to the sewing arts. What did I do last week in sewing? Well, I found another thing to mend. This was Brian's tooth fairy pillow when he was little. We had an incident with Chomps losing a tooth, and he couldn't find his tooth fairy pillow. So Brian gave this to him. Chomps refused to use it. I think the frilliness made him think it was girly. But anyway, it was the heart where you put the little tooth was actually kind of broken. So Brian asked me if I could fix it. That Michael's text is just going to keep going off if I don't dismiss it. So I did. I sewed back on the heart. I think he will have better luck trying to get Bingo to reuse this. So there you go. I did make Chomps' little tooth fairy pillow, and he has since found it. So we've put it someplace special where hopefully he won't lose it again for the next tooth. But there you go. What else did I do? Well, I was going through the giant mess of a table and found all of this. If you recall, last January 2025, the kiddos enjoy breaking their arms on the other kiddo's birthday, or near. So Chomps broke his arm for around Bingo's birthday a couple years ago. Before Chomps' birthday, Bingo broke her arm. So it was the winter. I had cycled out like all of her short sleeves, and I was in a conundrum. And I ended up going on Amazon and finding a bunch of cheap shirts that I could hack one arm off of, because she had the hard cast, and then she could have the casted arm and then one long sleeve to keep the other arm warm. But that left us with a giant pile of one-armed shirts. And now I am loath to throw things away. So I put them in here thinking, well, maybe I can chop the other arm off and match them up. And so I did. I spent one day chopping the extra arm off of all these shirts. And then I told Bingo, hey Bingo, I fixed those shirts. And she said, oh, did you sew the arm back on? Because she wanted long sleeve shirts. I had to tell her no. I didn't have the forethought to hang on to the half of arm I had chopped off last year. So there we go. She does have now many short sleeve shirts and even a couple of sweatshirts that I hacked the arm off of. I don't know if there's any use for the short sleeve sweatshirts, but I laughed so hard when she was like, oh, so you sewed the arm back on. No, I didn't. I'm sorry. But there you go. That is what I did with my sewing time. I also wanted to work on a pair of joggers for Chomps, but I could not find my elastic for the waistband, so I had to order some, and it arrived maybe Thursday, so I haven't had a chance to do it yet. So that will hopefully be what I show next week. the finished leggings or joggers for him, which also is going to be an exciting adventure on my sewing journey, because I have to make sure my serger, my overlock machine is set up and working properly to do that. So the only actual sewing I did was a little bit of hand sewing to get the heart back on, to mend that. Everything else was just measuring, matching up, and a quick swipe of the rotary cutter and it was done. But now, I mean, I don't know that she'll wear these to school, but they're certainly fine as bumping around clothes, you know? That is something that Brian and I differ on greatly. And I don't know, let me know what your thoughts are. When I was growing up, and still to this day, I hang on to older clothes that I don't think are, I mean, they're not like holy and bad, but they're older and they're bumping around clothes. They're the clothes you wear on the hike because you don't care if they get ruined, or the clothes you wear when you're working in the garden, and they're just basically the clothes you don't care if they get ruined anymore because they're pretty old and on their way out anyway. Brian doesn't hold on to old clothes like that, so he just wears whatever. And maybe his approach is the healthier approach. I don't know, because it does cause me to hold on to things that maybe I should have gotten rid of. But do you guys do the idea of bumping around clothes, or do you just let it go and I'll have one pool of clothes to work from? Because like, my bumping around clothes is what I wear when I clean the house. You know, I don't care if I get cleaning solution or bleach or something all over a shirt, because it's my bumping around shirt. Whereas I might be like, oh, I ruined my fun, you know, Star Wars shirt, or this is my urban yarn shirt. I wouldn't want to get bleach on this one. But the hacked off sleeve shirt, sure, get that bleachy, get that dirty, get that snagged on tree branches in the hike. I don't care. I don't know. It's just a weird thing that I didn't really recognize as we know what we know and we do what we do, and sometimes it's a shock when you're presented with a different philosophy. Like, why doesn't he have bumping around shoes? He mows the lawn in his work loafers. And to me, that's wild. Because you have the old tennis shoes that you do the yard work in, and you don't care if they get grass stained. I might be the weirdo here, so that's what I'm trying to check in on. Am I the weirdo? That's a more friendly Reddit column than the one they have. That's not a Reddit column. What do they call them? Communities? Threads? Groups? I don't know. I don't do Reddit a lot. Anyway, what else do I have to talk to you about? I've been blabbering for a while. I apologize. No, I don't apologize. That's what again, this is the special sauce that you come here for. I have been continuing to read The Innkeeper's Song. I've only been focusing on this book lately, not the Words of Radiance book, because Chomps has been wanting me to read 20 minutes with him in his room each night, which is an amazing habit I would love to help him develop. This book is a little less intense and frankly easier to hold. Ow, I just cut my hand on the book. Got a big old paper cut right there. Ow. Book. Now I'm upset with you. This is by Peter S. Beagle. He's the author of The Last Unicorn. That's his most famous book, which I didn't even know was a book until this book got suggested to me on like Goodreads or something. And it was like, from the author of The Last Unicorn. I was like, is that really? Yeah, it really was. So I do have that book now to read, because I'll be curious to see how it differs from the movie I remember. I haven't watched that movie in a long time. I do own it. I remember tracking it down, because it was a hard DVD to get. That was one of the most rented movies of my childhood. The Last Unicorn Space Camp was another big rental. My dad would also rent any movie that he knew had dancing in it. Any dance movie. I did a lot of dance when I was a kid. It was, Brian and I laugh because I didn't have the childhood of watching cartoons, so I don't know a lot of the cartoons. Because my Saturdays were spent in the dance studio. But that is how I was exposed to such classics as Dirty Dancing and Flashdance and A Chorus Line. Which had a whole new meaning to me when I watched it as an adult. I was like, whoa, Dad, what were you thinking? All he knew was dance, and he'd get it for me. He never watched the movies with me. Mom did, and she had no problem. I mean, like, I watched some things with the kids, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of an adult subtext there. I'm not sure there's a lot of subtext in Flashdance, but certainly a lot went over my head as a child. Oh, parenting of the 80s and 90s, huh? Okay, that was Brian. Update from the arcade. Okay, I'm now going to stop because that felt a little bit TMI, a little bit embarrassing to share with you, I'm going to be honest. I also watched Jaws and the Green Berets with my father, which makes the story of A Sound of Music all the more funny. I think Brian and I talked about the Sound of Music story once in a live. My mother loved The Sound of Music. Every time it was on the television, we would have to watch it. You know, the ABC movie of the week or whatever. But she would always turn it off, and we would never watch the end of The Sound of Music. So I spent until my adulthood, when I watched it on my own and finally watched the end and got brave enough to do it, I thought the Nazis won. I thought it had to end horrifically, because why would she stop it? We'd get to the point where her favorite part was where the nuns would sabotage the cars. I don't feel like I'm spoiling anything. This movie is like 70 years old. So she'd get to that point. We'd watch a little further. So like, we'd watch the scene in, is that a graveyard? The crypt area? Where the captain disarms Rolf. We'd watch that scene, and then we'd watch a little further, and then she'd shut it off. So I never saw them traipsing across the Alps singing at the end. Maybe she turned it off right after that. I don't remember. But somewhere around the escape part, she would turn it off, and we'd never watch the end. You know, they off singing across the Alps and making an inn in Vermont. That's still going on. Now, I know the movie doesn't talk about them resettling in Vermont, but I think it's Vermont. Is it Maine? I feel like it's Vermont. But yeah, there's that theory in psychological thrillers and things that it's scarier to not show something. And totally was true in my case of that movie. Never in a million years did I think there was a happy ending. There was something that she was concealing from me. And it's a fact that they sang as they marched across the Alps to freedom. Okay. I love you all. I'm going to go ahead and talk to you later. I'm going to go give Bingo. I'm not going to physically give them to her because, as I said, she's at the arcade. But I'm going to go put these in her room, distribute other finished items. I'll probably just give her that blanket. Why not? And then... Heather, I just got your text. I may have texted Heather about the Stranger Things yarn. I may have been a naughty, naughty influencer, and I'm okay with that. Okay. I love you all. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.